This video tutorial will guide users to key functionality of Modules 3, 4, and 5 under the Water Safety Planning application in the Flood and Drought portal. Modules 3, 4, and 5 of the Water Safety Planning application assist users to identify hazards and assess risks, Module 3, identify control measures and reassess the risks, Module 4, and to develop an improvement plan, Module 5. Climate change and variability has the potential to introduce new hazards and risks to water supply systems, and it is advisable for utilities to assess these risks, introduce appropriate control measures, and implement these under the direction of an improvement plan. In using the application to identify hazards and risks, click on Module 3. A pop-up window will appear. Click on the Add New Hazard and Risk button at the top right corner to open a second pop-up window. This new pop-up enables you to add hazards and hazardous events into your plan. Under Process Step on the pop-up window, select any of the process steps that you already entered into the plan under Module 2 for which you would like to record the hazards and hazardous events. You will notice that the fields for area and control option are automatically displayed as was entered under Module 2. Enter the hazardous event in the form of X happens to Y because of Z, where X is something that is potentially bad for the water quality, Y is part of the water supply system, and Z is the thing that is wrong. For example, assuming there are herds of cattle that come to graze and drink on the shores of the lake close to the abstraction site, then you can have pathogen contamination of the source water due to cattle waste around the abstraction point. Once you have filled in the hazardous event, then you are required to identify the hazard type as chemical, physical, or microbial, in this case microbial. The next step is to do a risk assessment of this particular hazardous event. The risk approach used in the portal is derived from the semi-quantitative risk matrix approach as presented in the 2009 version of the WSP manual by WHO and IWA. You will make a risk assessment by selecting the likelihood or frequency of the hazardous event and the severity or consequence in case the hazard occurs. Remember that at this stage, the risk assessment is done without considering any existing controls. In this case, we can indicate the likelihood as almost certain and the severity as catastrophic. The system will automatically give you a risk rating that is also color-coded. In this case, the risk rates as very high. The basis box can be used to add information of why you have selected a specific likelihood and severity. An important addition to this application is the future risk assessment considering climate change impacts. To do this, we use other information from the data information application, for example, to make an informed assessment of what the likelihood and severity of the hazardous event will look like under climate change in future. The general outlook is that rainfall in the Lake Victoria Basin will increase in future. Also, the daily maximum temperatures are likely to increase by about 2 degrees or more. This means that rainfall events are likely to increase the possibility of cattle waste being washed into the abstraction area. The likelihood therefore remains as almost certain and severity as catastrophic, giving you a risk rating of very high. Click on the button Add Hazard into your water safety plan. Within the pop-up window are 2 additional tabs for Modules 4 and 5. You can click on the tabs to go straight to the modules, or you can go back to the WSP menu and click on the respective module link. Ensure to work on the Hazard and Risk tab before moving on to the other tabs, as information from this section feeds into both Module 4 and 5. Upon completion of Module 3, you move on to Module 4, which looks at describing the existing control measures in place and reassessment of the risk. Click on Module 3 again to display the window with a summary of the hazard and risks identified. At the right end of the table, click on the Edit button to display the window to enable you to input Modules 4 and 5. Click on the Control Measures tab and input the existing control measure or select from the list provided in the drop-down. Indicate the effectiveness of the control measure by selecting from the drop-down. Under Note, provide a reason for the effectiveness of your control measure and do a reassessment of the risks for both current and future climate conditions. A risk rating is automatically computed based on a grade from low to very high. Under Basis, define a reason for the risk rating, and click on Update Hazard to update the summary table when done. Upon completion of Module 4, you then proceed to Module 5, which looks at additional control measures to manage climate-related risks identified and assessed in Modules 3 and 4 to acceptable levels. Click on Module 3 again to open the summary table of hazard and risks identified. At the right end of the table, click on the Edit button to display the window to enable you to input your additional control measures. Click on the Improvement Plan tab and underneath click on Add New Improvement Plan. A new pop-up window opens which allows you to provide details of your improvement plan by inputting the recommended process to take in order to address an issue or hazardous event, action, source of the identified issue arising from, name of person, details, email of person, responsible, date the action should be completed by, due, status of the activity, this could be completed, status. You can also click on Add to add details to the summary table of improvement plans. You can edit or delete an improvement plan by clicking on the Edit Delete button at the far right of each plan identified. And you can repeat the same procedure to add more improvement plans. Click on Update Hazard to update hazard and risk summary table. Repeat all the procedures for all the process steps in the water supply system, then move on to Module 6, where you'll be asked to fill in information to monitor the control measure, Module 7 to upload documentation for verification of the water safety plan, Module 8 to upload documentation on management procedures, for example how to operate a pump, Module 9 to upload supporting programs to address hazards and risks, Module 10 to document the periodic review, and Module 11 to document the revision of the water safety plan after an incident, for example the occurrence of a hazard. Thank you for watching and please share this video tutorial.